Okay guys, in order to use Lucid Charts, you want to have a Google Doc open. I'm going to use an add-on. I'm going to add it on to as a feature of a Google Doc. So I click add-on, I say get add-on. If you can't find it here, so it looks like it's right here for me, but if you can't find it here, just search Lucid Chart in your search bar and you should be able to find it. And then click the plus sign to add it on. I'm just going to so it's going to ask me, it's going to ask me to be allowed to do certain things, and I says yes. And once I've set this up, I can start using it. Okay, now in order to, so now you'll notice that when I click add-on, I see that I have Lucid Chart in one of my, as one of my options. Okay, so I want to go to insert diagram. It's going to make me sign in. It's going to ask me to allow for another thing. I'll just say go ahead. Alright, so it looks like I've successfully linked. Let me go back. So now this changes. So I hit the plus key, and it's going to take me to this options right here. I just like to choose the blank one. Okay, so now it's going to give me a bunch of, it's going to give me some instructions. I'll show you how to do this. So, alright, so remember the first part of a flowchart starts with a terminal. So I'm going to call that start right there. Okay. And then let's say that I want to make a flowchart that describes the process of deciding whether or not I could cross the street. So let's say I pull in a process block and I say approach intersection. Okay, and then as I approach the intersection, I have the question of whether or not I have the walk symbol. So I'm going to pull in my decision-making thing and I'll say, do I have the walk symbol? Right, and I'm going to add it as a question. Now notice I'm just pulling them all in right now. I like to make the arrows afterwards. Okay, if I do have the walk signal, I'm going to say, okay, go ahead and cross. If I don't have the walk signal, what I want to do is I want to wait. Pull this in. Notice when you have the the double pointed arrows, that means that you can resize. Okay, so I'm going to put the wait feature right here. Okay, now that I have all these things here, so whenever I do something wrong, what I do is I just hit Command Z. So notice, like, what I want to do is I want to resize this. When the arrows are all pointing outwards, that allows me to readjust it. When I'm hovering over it and it gives me the double pointed arrows, that means I can readjust the vertical size, and this begins dragging a line from the shape. So just be careful about what you're doing when you start clicking on the shape. So here we go. Wait for light. Okay. Now I'm just going to start making my arrows. And I want to drag them from, let me make this a little bit smaller. I want to drag them from the shape, the previous shape, onto the shape. It's the second action that happens here. So I go from start into approach intersection. So my arrow should be headed towards approach intersection. So I click it from the start and I wait until I have, so I deselect it, then hover over it again, and I should get this red dot. If I click and drag, it'll point the arrow into the process block of approach intersection. Now here, I want to go approach intersection to the walk, so the question whether or not I have the walk symbol. Okay. Now I want to pull an arrow from the diamond shape into the process block of cross. The first arrow I pull is going to be my yes arrow. So I'm going to pull it and bring it down. I could always change that to no if I made a mistake and pulled the no first. But otherwise, that's how you do it. And then let's say that I have another process block that says, you know, walk to subway. That was the example we had before. And then let's say that I have end right here. Okay. So wait for light is going to loop back around to asking whether or not I have the walk symbol, and eventually I'll say yes. After that, I'm going to walk the subway. From walking the subway, I end. Now if you want to color all of these, deselect everything by clicking somewhere outside. Click and drag across them so it selects everything, and go to the paint bucket and ask it to fill like this. Okay, then when things are automatically saved, you'll see that. If you try to save it again, it will also tell you that. Now you can actually just X out of that, and what you'll notice if you hit the refresh button say that you want to refresh your document list because you just created a diagram here. So if you press the plus key here, it is going to insert the diagram into your Google Doc, and if you click on it, you'll notice you have the arrows to resize it. Always resize going diagonally, otherwise it changes the ratio, vertical to horizontal ratio. Okay, now notice if I went to edit this, use the pencil tool to edit this, let's say that I wanted to write this as walk to another street, or walk to next intersection, okay, and it's saving, it's saved, so I can click out of here. If I click here, or if I say, whoops, if I say refresh, I want to refresh all inserted documents, and it's going to tell me that the blank diagram, because I forgot to name it here, has been refreshed, and you'll see that says walk to next intersection. And that's it.